I'm Sean Reynolds, the owner of Summit Properties Northwest and Reynolds and Klein Appraisal. And today I have with me Mr. Dan Chapman of Fairway Independent Mortgage. And Dan, we're going to talk about a line that I hear come up all the time, and that is somebody saying, but the buyer was pre-approved.
Yeah.
The buyer had pre-approval, loan pre-approval, and then something down the road goes sideways. So maybe take us through what pre-approval is, what it actually means, is it worth anything, and then how does that compare to final loan underwriting approval?
Good question. So pre-approval is solid, at least with Fairway, I believe it is. I think myself, when I pre-approve somebody, their loan's going to close. But it is not an underwritten approval. Underwriting has not seen the file. I have seen it. I have pulled credit.
You as the loan officer have seen it.
Yep.
And you may have issued a letter to the real estate broker or to the buyer saying a few things.
You're pre-approved for X amount of dollars to purchase this home with certain percent down. Now that is a couple sets of eyes. It's me and my team lead have both looked at it. So it's income, assets, credit, down payment, all that. That is in the past, sometimes, and even this year, where there can be multiple offers on a property. That isn't always good enough unless you've got a really large down payment or you're offering a fair amount on the property, coming in at a real good price. Sometimes people want to go, like I've got a few in the process right now, where we will do a conditional approval, and we call it a TBD. We put TBD for the address, to be determined.
And that's an approval a little bit further down the road.
Much
more just
thorough.
A pre-approval.
Yeah, much more thorough in the aspect that, I mean, it's thorough in that it's been signed off on by underwriting, and underwriting is who you need to get by.
Right.
They're the
Right.
goalkeeper. Got to get that puck.
Because without underwriting approval, we don't have anything.
You don't have a loan. You're not going to docs.
Yeah.
You're not getting your docs done.
Your pre-approval letter kind of means nothing unless it's been sent to...
Yeah.
It doesn't mean nothing, but it means a lot less than final loan underwriting approval.
Right. And so an underwriter on a TBD conditional approval, they've signed off on their income, their assets, and their credit, and looked at their debt-to-income ratio, and they're signed off. So the only things we need is clear title, a good appraisal, and insurance binder, and we're ready to go.
That would be the full package.
Yep.
And so what are you, when you have a borrower call you and say, hey Dan, I need a pre-approval letter, what kind of questions are you asking?
Well, I mean, I'm going to ask them to do the application. We're going to do that. And
they're going to go online, they're going to apply,
Yep.
or they're going to do whatever.
Exactly. And then I'm going to get their financials. I'm going to get their W-2 employees. I'm going to get their W-2s, pay stubs, bank statements, copy of their ID. Those are the basics. And then we put that in the file. We make sure everything looks good. The debt-to-income ratio is not too high. We pull a credit report and we review it all to make sure, hey, this person makes X amount of dollars per month, and their mortgage is going to be this. Okay, their debt-to-income ratio is 35%. They're good. Their credit score is 740 or whatever, and they're good, and they can afford this house. Some people, they don't want to get pre-approved for the max. So you got to have that conversation too, because they don't want their payment to be above a certain amount. So even though they can get approved for higher, it's not always their benefit.
And so once you have given somebody the pre-approval, does the seller have any recourse coming back on you? Hey, your loan officer, your loan guy gave you a pre-approval. You didn't close on the loan. What's the deal?
Yeah.
What's your liability?
There really is no recourse or liability.
Okay.
I personally have a guarantee that if their loan has been conditionally approved, that I guarantee that we're going to close on time or early.
Okay.
When it's conditionally approved. The only thing that has to come in is the appraisal has to come in with no work orders and at value. I have a personal guarantee. There is some more to that guarantee that would benefit the seller, but that's it's not like a Fairway guarantee. It's a personal guarantee for me because I've never personally had a loan not close on time if they're conditionally approved. Or never been issues with the borrower.
So if you've got more ducks in a row than just the pre-approval, odds are so much higher that you're going to get that loan closed. Because you've dug deeper within the process.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we could close quicker too, so that helps.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of what we hear is, but they had a pre-approval letter, and so
Yeah. I mean, that kind of can be based on the experience of the loan officer, can factor into that, and the lender, or if it's like a, I've seen some broker shops out there that, maybe they just don't do things the way they should be done, and they're pre-approving somebody that they shouldn't be pre-approving. And that comes down to, a lot of it comes down to knowledge and experience.
So on the Summit side of things, I have a lot of Summit brokers who, when they've got, they're representing the seller and they've got a number of offers, oftentimes they will, and everybody's got their pre-approval letter in there. So it's kind of a level playing field. They will physically pick up the phone and call the lender, get a little bit
Very
more
good
information.
idea.
Yeah. Do you recommend that?
I do. I actually try to call the listing agent before they call me, and talk to them about the pre-approval and the buyer.
Because that only helps solidify the relationship of the buyer with the listing agent and the seller.
Absolutely. So that's one of the things that we do when the client makes an offer, is talk to the listing agent for the seller.
Right.
And sometimes they will call me. They'll beat me to it because they got the offer right away.
Right.
And I'll talk to them.
And they want to get the show on the road, and they want to be able to make decisions.
Yeah.
And part of that is finding out how strong the borrower is. And one way to do that is to go right to the guy putting the loan together.
Yep.
Say, hey, Dan, what's up?
Yeah, and one of the questions they've had is if this thing doesn't appraise and borrowers only got a certain amount down, 10% or whatever it is, are they going to be okay? That's
And
one of the
then you
things
call
they want
your
to know.
appraiser and say, hey, Sean.
Yeah, get this thing to appraise, so just kidding.
Yeah, and I've gotten that call many times. What are the odds this is going to appraise? And I don't know, because I'm not in the shoes of the other appraiser, and oftentimes I haven't seen the property.
Yeah.
But you look at the comps and you kind of take your best guess. Well, Dan, I think you've got.
Yeah, and most of the time the two realtors involved, the buyer's agent and the seller's agent, most of the time they're comfortable, but once in a while they're not. Especially last year when we had prices escalate like crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
With escalation clauses going way above list
yeah,
price.
I mean, we're talking crazy above, right? Then it's probably not, but then hopefully that borrower's got a large down payment and it doesn't matter.
Right.
That's what happened to me on one last year.
Right.
It went for enormous price above asking, and it didn't matter that it was going to appraise for a little bit less. Everybody knew it was going to, so.
Yeah, that sometimes happens, especially in a quickly moving market.
Yeah.
Not everything is perfect.
Yeah, but now it's a little more balanced, and we're seeing things level out a little bit. Yeah.
Is there any cost at all for you to write a pre-approval letter to one of your clients?
No, there's a little cost for us. We have to pull credit, but we don't charge the borrower for that.
You don't pass that on.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Well, Dan, is there anything else you can think of that would help the consumer kind of understand the pre-approval process?
if you're looking for a house and you're very serious, it is a good idea to move your pre-approval, at least right now, because we're in a busy time of the year. It's buying season, to the conditional approval. It's a little more work for us up front and for you up front, because you have to sign some disclosures and things like that up front. But it's not a bad idea, because that way your loan's been underwritten. And if you're very serious about purchasing and you're going to do it within, say, the next 90 days, I would do it, because it's just going to make your chances greater. And you may even save a little money on the house and not have to go, 10 grand above asking or whatever.
It makes your offer a little bit more competitive. And when a seller is sitting down looking at 4, 5, 6 offers.
Yeah, it's for me, I mean, I think it's great.
Right. Yeah, that's really good advice. Take your pre-approval one step further, as far as you kind of can.
Yep.
That way you can kind of let the seller know, hey, we are invested in this. We've done everything we can to make ourselves the optimal buyer.
And your agent will love you for it.
Yeah. And when I see that kind of approval come through, I'm like, okay, these guys are a little bit further down the road.
Yep.
You have a little bit more confidence.
Absolutely.
So that's great. Okay.
Yep.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for sharing this information regarding the pre-approval process, and maybe helping the consumer understand what that means a little bit more, because I know that term gets thrown out there all the time.
Right.
And there's really some misconception. So again, thanks so much for giving us your valuable insight. Again, I'm Sean Reynolds from Summit Properties Northwest and Reynolds & Klein Appraisal. Dan Chapman from Fairway Independent Mortgage. Thanks for watching. Here's the Summit difference. We offer an industry-high 80-20 split with absolutely zero fees, a low $10,000 cap, and a free listing video including drone for every single home that Summit Properties Northwest lists. For more information, click on the first link in the description of this video.